Okay, step two. Step two is my story, and this is where you create a deep emotional connection with the people who are going to be buying from you. This is really vitally important because research shows that 80% of people will only buy from people they know or like or trust. And trust is the really important one there. You have to win people's trust in order for them to be comfortable buying from you. So let's talk about how you do that. The three main things that you need here are to have emotional connection, demonstrate your credibility, and once you've done those two things, ask permission up front to sell something to them later. I found that if any of those three are missing, you're not going to get the sale. So let's talk about them one at a time. How do you generate the emotional connection? Well, the easiest way is to demonstrate how you've become such an expert in whatever it is that you're selling. Now, even if you don't consider yourself an expert, it's probably a good idea that you start to, because people love to buy from experts. So the way that you do this is go back and talk about the journey that you went on to arrive at the point you're at now. For example, my personal story is I started studying NLP, social dynamics, body language, marketing, psychology, influence and persuasion when I was 13. And the reason that I did that is because I had glasses, I had buck teeth, braces on my teeth, I had pimples, and I had a flat top hairdo like Vanilla Ice. So I was hot, I was really attractive. Obviously that's not true, right? I was unattractive as a teenager. And as any red-blooded teenage boy knows, I wanted the interest of girls, but I just couldn't get any. So what I realized is if I have no looks and no money, I need to learn how to understand people. And that launched me on a lifelong journey of discovery that eventually ended up with me becoming a master of neurolinguistic programming and the psychology of influence, suggestion, and persuasion. Now, over the years, I realized that those skills could be applied to sales and marketing. And I started testing and measuring and playing around in my own businesses until I discovered a 7-step process that I could use to take my business from $16,000 a year, and this blew me away when I did it, but I made $99,800 in a single weekend. And that's exactly what I want to show you. Okay, so let's take a step back here for a second. Do you see how my story is much more credible and believable now, and I created an emotional connection by taking you right back to when I was 13 years old? By doing that, I've shown you that I wasn't always this successful. I didn't always have it all figured out, and I had to go through a journey where I struggled to arrive at the point where I'm at now. And that after all that trial and error and struggle, which you can identify with because you've had your own trial, error and struggle in your own life, I finally cracked the code and figured it out, and now in all my loving kindness I want to give that to you, which is exactly what I'm doing on this page. Do you see how that works? In one story I've established an emotional connection and my credibility. It's very, very powerful. So by now you know a little more about me, hopefully you like me, and you should be starting to trust that I know what I'm talking about, which means it becomes time in our process to ask for the sale. And here's how you do that. You say something like this: is it okay over the next 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever amount of time your presentation happens to be, maybe it's a phone call, over the next 2 or 3 minutes. For now, I'm going to say just over the time that you're on this web page. Is it okay if over the time that you're on this web page, I show you how I created those kind of results in my life, going from 16 grand to 99,000 in a weekend, and give you an opportunity to do the same in your own life? Would that be okay with you? Now, you probably find yourself sitting there going, yeah, sure, that'd be great, right? And the reason for that is that I've just presented it in a really easy to accept way. But what I've also done is asked your permission after I've taught you the 7 steps to make you an offer at the end. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I have a mentoring program that I'd like to tell you about a little later on down the page. So what I want you to do is get used to framing your own story by going back and talking about your struggles and your trials. And you also want to include things like your journey to finding the solution, and awards that you've won, or number of clients that you have, or how many countries you service people in. Anything that's going to build your credibility. So go ahead, take a few moments, read through the text on the page, and then write out your story and practice it a few times. That's step 2.